If you'd stand.
Good evening, and just again, thank you for allowing me to come back and give the invocation. So thank you for everybody standing. So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father God, we just humbly come before you now with thanksgiving in our heart for the school board and for the leaders that have gathered here tonight. Lord, we humbly ask you to continue to give our leaders divine wisdom and knowledge as they talk through these waters, Father, that we've never been in before. Father, this is a new normal, and whatever that means, Lord, you know what it means. And so we just trust you by faith as our leaders listen and decide on the ways that we need to go in the future for Clay County, our teachers, our schools, and the future of our nation as they teach our future leaders. Father, be with our teachers in the classroom and through this virtual time together. Be with our students, Father, and give them a new understanding of how to learn on this new environment. Whatever comes our way, we trust you and know that the leaders here tonight will do what's best for all of us here in Clay County. And in Jesus' name I pray these things. Amen. If you would, please join me to the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain Edwards. The Clay County School Board meeting will come to order June 4th, 2020. I'd like to welcome everyone. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend tonight's school board meeting from your socially safe location. This meeting is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and the education of our children here in Clay County. If you utilized our website comment link to comment on a specific agenda item, your comments will be included in this meeting if received prior to 2 p.m. today. No comments will be taken on topics which are not on the agenda. Your virtual participation is welcomed and appreciated. And we did not have any comments come in. Recognitions and awards recognize students with perfect attendance, K through 6, K through 8, and K-12, Superintendent Brodsky.
Thank you. David Brodsky, my address is on file. Okay. It's my pleasure to come before you and recognize students for perfect attendance, just as somebody who's never gotten perfect attendance in his lifetime. I would just like to say this is a pretty big award for these individuals. Even though this is kind of weird setting, I still think it's important to recognize these individuals for this accomplishment. And so without further ado, our first recipient is Ricky Blaylock, kindergarten through 8th grade, never missed a day, never been late.
Wow.
Pretty impressive. Come on in.
If you give Ms. Young your camera, she'll take a picture with your camera too. Congratulations. They said
Probably not. The last family has about
they're
12
trying to
people
keep
in their
social
family.
distance.
All right, next, kindergarten through 12th grade. That's 13 years
Jeez.
of never being late and never missing a day. Let's go, Kaylee Deal. Kaylee.
Wow. That is amazing.
Absolutely. That is awesome.
Mm. That is unbelievable. Can you imagine?
No.
Jeez,
Well done.
we need her jeans.
Next, we have one other student who has a kindergarten through 12th grade, 13 years, Vernon Muma from Middleburg High School.
Awesome. Way to do it, Vernon.
Vernon brought family with him now.
That deserves a whole bunch to be here, yes.
Celebration.
Hey, y'all come get in the picture, and Ms. Young will take a picture with your phones if you'll give them to her. We'll get everybody in there.
Wow.
That is amazing. Y'all all want to get in the picture? Ms. Young will take a picture with your phone. Yeah, get a group picture. Y'all get a group picture. That's great.
Oh, wonderful.
Like, there's several phones, so hold your smile. What we want to know, the board members want to know, is how did you do that without one sick day? Okay, gotcha. Yay, Mom.
Thank you. Thank you
Wow.
so much.
I just can't even imagine.
Now, we do have one, we're going to backtrack a little bit now. Kindergarten through 6th grade, so it's 7 years, Argyle Elementary, Amodian Abisui. Come on in.
Mom, you come up here with him. You're the one that helps make this happen. But he needs to hold this plaque down a little bit. It's covering up his face. Yeah. There. Congratulations. There are no public comments tonight. The adoption of the consent agenda, the items withdrawn were C10 and C21. There were no items pulled to discussion. I do want to comment on the personnel consent agenda, C4. And I'm speaking specifically of Chief Wagner's position. This is for 1 year. If I can get a consensus from the board, I would like to see this placed, go ahead and approve this tonight, but see this brought back to us at our July meeting that will be held June 25th. And I would like to ask Mr. Bittner to write a 3-year contract for this position. If I have a consensus from the majority of the board, Mr. Bittner said he would need direction from the board. So is anyone disagreeing with that being on the agenda June the 25th?
That's fine.
Okay, you have direction.
Okay.
Okay,
So what I will rewrite the whole contract, because it's an administrator contract that really doesn't pertain to police officers, so.
okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
I'll move approval. I'll second.
Okay, had a motion by Ms. Gilhousen, a second by Ms. Caracas. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Did y'all come up on your computer?
Yes.
Ms. Honora, it didn't come up on my computer, so just vote aye for me. The voting box didn't come up. Okay, CCEA update, Ms. Paiva? It's good to see you and Mr. Roberts here tonight.
We're here. CCA, good evening. I'm CCA President Renly Paiva. Couple of things that I have. I'm very, very concerned about the sales tax resolution that you guys are going to approve. I'm kind of shocked to see all the additions from the original one. So, and it might be law, might not be law, because you did already approve another resolution. So this is a rewrite of that. But specifically, charter schools. And I understand the legislators put things in the law about charter schools, but I need people to understand what it exactly means. And what it means is that if you approve a sales tax and charter schools get a piece of that sales tax, they can use that money to bond and buy buildings and property, and those buildings and property are privately owned. They don't come back to you. You might have been told they come back to you. They don't come back to you. And I've had discussions all afternoon with other counties about this, and they didn't rewrite their resolutions. They kept it, so they were grandfathered. They kept it the way it was before all these changes happened this session. I'll never wrap my head around that public funds are so freely given to private enterprise. So there is one charter school in our district that is a for-profit charter school. And if I was them, and actually I'm retiring, maybe I should consider this, I would jump all over this and buy every piece of property with your sales tax money that I possibly can and turn a profit. I don't have to build on it, I just have to buy it. There's something wrong with that thinking. And the people of Clay County should have a real think about that. Now, I'm grateful for two things. I'm grateful the district has not asked the CCA to support this resolution, nor support the sales tax. And I'm thankful that the school board has not asked me to support this sales tax, because I would not support this sales tax and freely give public money to charter schools and to private enterprises. My other second concern is we have a group of teachers in my unit that are coming back to work, 11th and 12th month personnel, and they were told to come back to work on Monday. And I'm really concerned about this because we've had no discussions on how we're going to bring these people back. For example, the use of masks. And I noticed that nobody's using masks except that nice parent and her child that came in here. This pandemic has not gone away. We might all think it has gone away, but it hasn't. And if you go to other states, and I had the unfortunate incident that my brother passed away very unexpectedly, and I went to the state of Maryland for it. It was the weirdest funeral in the entire universe because you can only have 10 people and you YouTube everything. So it was good in one aspect because my other half of my family are in Bermuda, so they got to see it. Everybody wears a mask. Everybody in the state wears a mask. You can't go into a store without a mask. But you are in charge of that. You can make those decisions. So we're asking our teachers to come back in, and not one support personnel is wearing a mask, and not one administrator is wearing a mask. And we're asking compromised people to come back to school without a thought. And our first underlying thing that we're supposed to be doing is following CDC guidelines. That was what we told it to the public that we would do, and we're not doing. So yes, I'm concerned because I'm a caregiver. I'm highly concerned. If other people don't care and don't think this is true and think this is a hoax, that's your concern. But I'm concerned when, as an employer, you're telling people to go back to work without any consideration of their personal health. I'm concerned about that. And the last thing I'm going to say tonight is, you all owe me a 20-year PIN since March 1st. Just want that on the record. Thank you very much.
I will give you 2 of them, Ms. Paiva.
Okay.
Mr. Brodsky, would
Ms.
you?
Ms. Paiva, I would like to ask Mr. Bittner if he would respond, because this is very important, and we've got this item coming up, but I think there's somehow a lack of communication or misunderstanding, and we just need to get this clarified. Mr. Bittner.
Yes, ma'am. As to the question of what they can and can't use this money for, the charter schools, it already exists and has already existed in statute for some time under 1013.62 subparagraph 4, what they can use capital outlay funds for. This is nothing new. Capital outlay funds are the monies that you get to buy property, to buy schools, to renovate schools, to add additions to schools, to do all of those things that we can do as a public school system. That already exists for charter schools. And it includes purchase of real property, construction of schools facilities, purchase, and lease of permanent or relocatable school facilities. All those things that are listed in Exhibit C, which is attached to this amendment, that already exists. What they've done is to direct under 212.055 subparagraph 6, they've used that in the amendment to direct how the half-cent sales surtax, which is a capital improvement surtax, how that can be used by charter schools by redirecting that to that same statute. So you could use capital funds for this as a charter school. Now you can use a half-cent sales surtax for that as a charter school. That's exactly what is being done with the public schools. As to whether or not they get to keep that and they can take it, buy property, sell property, reinvest the money, get the money out of it and then take it away, that's not the way it works. You can't do that with capital outlay funds, and you certainly can't do that with half-cent sales tax funds because they're treated the same way. If they buy property, and if the school is not renewed, and if the school is closed, or if they just terminate their business, everything bought with that property under 1013.62 subparagraph 5, which is the very next subsection, says it all reverts to the school district. So if they buy a building, and if they close a school, it comes back to the school district. If they buy property, if they buy vehicles, if they buy anything under Exhibit C, which is how they can use capital outlay funds anyway, it all comes back to the school district. If there are unencumbered or unspent monies that they have and they close a school, it comes back to the school district. If it's determined that someone is abusing the statute, it's no different than if you say, here are your capital outlay and PICO funds, you accounted for these at the end of the year and it looks like you have abused the system by pocketing the money. then you sue them and you move to terminate their charter. That's no different here. So I understand what Ms. Piva is saying. I think she has been misinformed as to whether or not they can make a profit on that. They cannot. That's not what it's for. It's the same as capital outlay money. Okay. As to the other rewrites in the resolution, there is nothing in this resolution different than the first resolution, other than the required statutory language from the change, which says, and you'll see throughout where I've put it in there, and also in the ballot language, we are required to put in there that we must share the proceeds from this on a pro rata proportionate share basis with charter schools. That's all it says. And that's what the essence of the amendments are. There's nothing new or nothing different about that. Now, whether or not other districts have told her they have not amended the resolutions, I can assure you I have checked with other districts and they have all included in their resolutions that are being written now, because you can write a resolution and have it passed by your county commission up to August the 1st. It has to be submitted to the supervisor of elections by then. Those that have already written resolutions are rewriting their resolutions. Because if you get to the election and you have a ballot language that does not contain this, and the election occurs after July 1, 2020, it is invalid ballot language. You have to share for anything that's passed by the electors after July 1, 2020, has to be shared with the charter schools. That's part of the statute. It's part of the laws of Florida as they stand right now, and there's not a thing that I can do about it to change that. So I understand what she's saying. I understand her fears. I understand everyone's disappointment in the legislature for doing this, but it's written, and we have no choice but to do what the legislature dictates. So,
Can I ask a question?
of course,
Yes.
Mr. Bickner, how many other districts are in the same situation that we're in, that
I
had
know of-
approved their language last year and now we're moving forward
well, they approved their language since the last,
since
yes.
prior? How many?
Prior to the amendment of the statute. I've talked to 3 that have done that.
And they've all,
They're
They're
all
amending it.
amending their ballot language because they have to. Yes.
okay, thank you.
And those that are passing, the statute was passed and the governor signed it about a month and a half ago, a month ago. And everybody that's proceeding now, because you can only do it at the election in November, so all of them will happen after July 1, 2020. So they're all having to write their ballot language the same. So,
Interesting. Well, I hear Ms. Piva's concerns, and I appreciate your explanation, and hopefully you and Mr. Bittner can talk more in time, and we'll get a clear understanding on this, because if this is approved tonight, we certainly would want to have the support of you and CESPA, because it's a much-needed thing for the school district, but I want there to be communication between you and Mr. Bittner. It's a little out of order, but come to the mic and you can ask a question.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your.
Because I really think communication solves a lot of problems.
Yeah. When we closed down the charter school in Kingsley,
Yeah, the state did,
yes,
Yeah.
I forget who did it, but anyway, rightly so.
right.
Their capital outlay did not come back to us.
Yeah, we
It
went-
wasn't allowed to come back to us. Mr. Davis was furious because it couldn't, because I think Ms. Gilhaz will remember, it has to go to another charter.
That's right.
That was state law. So a capital of a charter school, when a charter school is closed, does not come back to this district. This is my point.
I thought they sent trucks up there and got everything they could. I remember them
and
talking
then-
about the
and then-
submitted playground equipment. They
Correct.
couldn't get it, but they got everything out of the inside.
Yes, ma'am.
Desk.
And then you asked Mr. Davis, and he was rightly told that you can give that to another charter, but you cannot put it back into your own coffers.
Well, if that's state law, we
But
can't
that's
help
what,
that.
that's what my point is.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to say. So what they do, if you close a charter and they've bought buildings and yada, 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 if you think it comes back to the district, Why wouldn't that capital originally from the Kingsley School come back to the district? But anyway, that's no here and there. That's just my opinion. My choice is the people of Clay County have a choice to vote for this or not vote for this.
Well, but there needs to be a clear understanding of are the facts of the matter so that everybody understands.
But the facts of the matter is you're using, if we vote for this, it'll be taxpayer money going into private enterprises. That is the facts.
The main
You
reason-
can't go around that.
The main reason for the sales tax is to try to build 5 new schools, and also, that was what, 300 million, and then 300 million
Oh,
on renovation and repair and maintenance and so forth.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a proportionate share that goes to the charter
I
schools.
totally understand the need.
But we've got, a lot of schools to try to take care of, and we'll talk. We have plenty of time to talk.
appreciate that. Thank
Okay, thank you.
May I respond to that?
Yes, Mr. Bickner.
I was not the attorney for the school board at that time.
Right.
If the school board attorney advised the superintendent to accept that without challenging it, in my opinion, he was incorrect.
Okay.
The statute is absolutely crystal clear. Okay? It says, if charter school is non-renewed or terminated, any unencumbered funds and all equipment and property purchased with district public funds shall revert to the ownership of the district school board. That's clear.
That's pretty
So
plain.
anybody that did, if he interpreted that different, or if he stood by and let somebody else interpret it differently, I take exception to that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Stutter, before we move on, I'd like to ask Mr. Broski if he would address the other thing that Ms. Paiva said about, I guess it's an email you sent out today that I saw that
Yes,
requesting.
yes, ma'am. The email that was sent out was simply advising everybody that we're going to a 4-day work week. 11 and 12-month employees do not need to report to work. Instead, they'll be phased in. At some point, we will ask employees to come back to work. There will be a plan for those that have compromised immunity, as well as people who are 65 years old, as well as pre-screening of employees coming into work, and all of those policies will come forward. Nobody's been asked to come back to work, but we look to have a plan together next week. Of course, we collaborate with both of our unions and bring forth the plan. At some point, we will have to return back to work in order to prepare for the next school year.
Okay, thank you.
What, if we ever can find out what the next school year is gonna look like? We're
I know
all
that
just,
the tone of the email made it sound as if people were required to show up to work on Monday, the 11th and 12th-month employees, and so I got a couple of calls.
good thing that
very
you
upset.
clarified that, Ms.
So I
Carrick.
wanted to make sure that,
Okay. Is that it? Okay. Next, someone we haven't seen in a while, Mr. Lonnie Roberts with CESPA. Good to see you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Lonnie Roberts, my address is on file. I read that same email, and I was kind of confused with it also. Being a 12-month employee, it looked like it did say that you do have to come back, because we have 5 or 6 65 and older that's there. And there are some concerns that was around inmates for them to actually go ahead and come back. And I understand that, yeah, work has to be done, so forth and so on, but if the CDC, the governor, and the health department has not told them to go ahead and come back, these guys got to stay out, as far as I'm concerned. They should not say, hey, if you want to come back, because that's what I'm taking for some of these guys that said, hey, I want to come back to work, and then you have the our director that says, well, go ahead and come back. Well, I'm sorry, the governor already said no. You stay out, and I understand that we have to get back to some type of normally somehow, somewhere. But right now, 12-month is already working for that time.
I think that email just created extra stress that wasn't necessary.
Mr. Roberts, Mr. Brodsky told me that he will take care of this and make sure that it's very clear that he will handle it. And
Thank you.
So, thank you for bringing it to all of our attention.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a while. Yes,
Yeah.
since I've been
We've
here,
missed
this
you.
the new norm. Watching
Yeah.
it on TV. Sorry that I couldn't watch your or been there on the Zoom meeting last month. I had to go away to Virginia, and like Ms. Piper says that it is crazy to be at a funeral and only 10 people can come in.
Oh,
Well, let's put it this way. That's for some people. 10 turned to 15, 15 turned to 20, 20, 20 went to 25, and so on. And I left. And there was no mask or lack thereof.
oh dear.
And the place where I was supposed to be staying, it was hard. I had to drive 20 miles out because the place I was supposed to stay didn't have, the people weren't wearing masks, and I didn't know where they came from, who was,
Or where they had
whatever.
been, yeah.
So I was 20 miles out. For the most part, most of the support is doing pretty well. The masks are out, the sanitizer are out, wipes are out. Majority of the secretaries are away from one another. They are in one part of the building, the other one's in the other part. Maintenance, we are happy that the kids aren't there to be in our way, in a sense. And I don't wear my mask all the time. I'm not against kids. I see a lot of people snickering. I'm not against kids. But when we can go in, do a project, leave some of the stuff out, and not have to worry about kids trampling over it, touching it, hurting themselves, stabbing themselves, so forth and so on, it's a happy thing for us to do. I don't wear mine that often when I'm working by myself, when I get into a school. But when I go to talk to the principal and the people up front, I do wear mine. I already talked about the guidelines, but what are we going to do forward? And in some of the emails that you put out today, I guess that accounts for some of it. Some of the people are talking about, is it going to be safe to bring everybody back? How are we going to have the kids come back? Are the kids going to have to wear a mask? Is all the teachers going to have to wear a mask? Everything is questionable up to that. We already talked about the CDC. I want to talk about now is the allocations and the lack of personnel in transportation and in maintenance. The majority of it is due because the pay scale is not proportionate to the outside. Right now, in transportation, we have a total of about 11 mechanics. 11.
Wow.
We got 6 of them work from 5 a.m. to right around about 1 p.m. And sometimes they stay over. The other 5 works from 10:30 to 7 p.m. And granted, yes, there's no school right now, but there's still a lot of buses. They have 250 buses, and they're growing. They have 190 white fleet. That's all white cars that's out there. And they have 50 police vehicles. 50 police vehicles that they have to do also. The DOE recommends that there's a 20-to-1 ratio of techs to buses. Right now, we have 23-to-1. And with the white fleet and the police vehicles, that's up to 44-to-1. In maintenance, we're just low everywhere. In the electronics department where I work at, we lost 4 allocations last year. I don't know why. We lost them to IS. I didn't understand why they couldn't hire their own instead of taking those with them. But not only did we lose the personnel, we lost the vehicles also that went right along with them. We need everybody, personal body in maintenance. HVAC. Everybody knows what HVAC does. As soon as it gets hot, as soon as the school comes back, boom.
Yeah.
We need electrical people. We got lightning strikes everywhere. Electronics, fire alarm. Fire alarm goes off everywhere. We had a lightning strike, and it just took out, I want to say tines. And it looked like the whole fire panel was going to have to be replaced.
Oh, boy.
So we need bodies. We need bodies, and we need to get that pay comparable to the outside world. We get qualified people to come in, but as soon as they look at that pay, even with bringing in 10 years of experience, they are like, no way. We like the benefits. We like the time off. We love all of that stuff. We like the paid holidays, but I am not working for that amount of money. Ain't no way. The most somebody can come in for HVAC, say like they got 20 years of experience, the max we can give them is like 1630. And that's with 10 years of experience. And you got a person that come in with 20, 25 years of experience, and they're making over $35 an hour on the outside.
Wow.
We had one person, his boss said, we'll give you less hours, more pay, more benefits if you come back. The guy turned around that first day he was supposed to come in and left. And that was in our HVAC department.
So you're saying they make like half, in round numbers, half what they could make on the
Depending
outside?
on their experience, yes. Nobody wants to come in for that type of money.
Oh.
Nobody wants to do that. We need to upgrade the allocations in order to get there. Like I said one time before, I'm the bargaining chair. I can't bargain allocations. I can only bargain money. And it's up to you guys, the directors of our departments, both transportation and maintenance, to bring it to you guys and say, hey, we already addressed our problems that we have in the schools, air conditioners, electrical, shabby this, shabby that. This needs to be, portables need to be taken away. We need to get hard buildings. We've addressed all of that. When are we going to address the personnel for these departments? It doesn't make sense as we're growing and we need 5 schools in the next, 6 years, 7 years, 5 schools. And there's nothing in the horizon about other individuals actually coming in and being hired. That is basically it. Otherwise, support is doing fine. I've had no other issues. In the beginning, there was me and the principals, we worked things out about trying to get masks, sanitizing, lotion. Other than that, everything else is, so far, I haven't gotten a phone call yet, but probably get one tonight after I leave here. But so far, nobody has called me and said that there's any problems. Thank you for your time tonight, and I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. It's good seeing you again. All right, superintendent's update and presentation. Superintendent Brodsky.
Yes, ma'am. I have a couple slides here this evening, not as many as my predecessor, so please.
We're counting.
It's
We're going to count.
10 minutes. All right. So tonight we have senior celebrations we're going to talk about, close of the school year, the meal service plan, and new administrators for 2021, as well as the reopening of schools. First, senior celebrations. I saw many of you there. You know, I just want to give a shout out to people for their ingenuity, their creativity during a time that's been totally unprecedented. And so you can see there we have a variety. That's Keystone, Oakleaf, and Clay there. If you want to see their video, you can go to our One Clay YouTube channel. If you haven't seen them, they're pretty good. They did an awesome job with that. And then we had the Night of Lights. And actually, the graduation parade was an idea that started like 2 days before that. So it's just amazing the amount of creativity that people have. We also had virtual Spirit Week, as well as virtual senior awards, athletic awards. I'm just proud of all of the people in the district for their creativity and their willingness to go above and beyond. And there's too many people to mention, so thank you so much for that. Close of the school year. You know, one of the things that people didn't realize is that when the governor shut down schools, it was a Friday afternoon at 4:30, nobody can go back to the school and get their stuff. And so we're kind of in a limbo. So thank you so much for everybody getting their stuff back and forth to schools. I realize that that is a daunting task for everybody because you have to quarantine the stuff before you put it away, all of that kind of stuff. So just very, very proud. Of course, teachers out there, tomorrow is the last day. I probably don't need to remind anybody of that, but tomorrow is the last day.
I bet they know that.
I think they know. Summer meal service. Just want to remind everybody that's June 8th to July 30th, Monday through Thursday, because those are the working days from 11 to 12:30. It's breakfast and lunch at the same time. There's a little bit of difference to it. Those are the schools that are involved, and anyone 18 or younger can receive the meal. A little different in the sense it's going to be, you're going to drive to the school, you're going to get out, go to the cafeteria, practicing social distance, getting it, and then leaving from there. That prevents having to keep the food outside and the drive-up type procedure as we're opening up more. I will tell you that Miss Glover's a rock star when it comes to food service, and so they do a great job of helping our students. Okay, new administrators for the upcoming year. Just wanted to go ahead and remind everybody, we had 7 or 8 folks that went southwest on us
Yeah.
this past year. And when they went southwest, that created a bunch of positions. We need to fill all these positions preferably by July 1st. And so you can see Treasurer Pickett as the new Director of K-12, Director of Climate and Culture, Laura Fogarty, Jim Fossa in the safety position, and John Scromelo in the Coordinator of Athletic positions. And then at the school level, once you take 7 people and move them out of the district, and you take 7 people and move them into those positions, then you got to fill those positions. So there's this total domino effect. And you can see the names there. I don't want to read them all out, but I will tell you that we did 107 total interviews, interviewed people from Colorado, Texas, Georgia, Ohio. I'm forgetting some. We really found the best of the best. Sometimes when it came down to it, it's people that knew the school and knew the community the best that kind of brought them over the edge in the process. Very proud of the group that's been hired. I thank the board for approving them tonight, and so that we can move forward with that. Reopening of schools. So I'm going to address some of Lonnie's questions when it comes to the reopening of schools. You know that the governor just recently has moved it from phase 1 to phase 2, and now that starts tomorrow morning, is my understanding. So the district will start to move and develop phases of reopening too. So there's a couple of things that have occurred recently. You know that the governor has opened up youth sports. He made that announcement, and it's my understanding different youth sports such as Clay County Soccer there by Fleming Island Elementary School, they've already started practicing and doing those kinds of things. The district is in the process of a plan, and of course, there's always a waiver with the plan, and Mr. Bickner's working on the waiver right now to bringing those items back. We look to bring them back around the 15th of June with the precautions that are in place. Of course, they're voluntary programs for our parents to decide if they want their child to participate or not. So, when it comes to employees, we'll have a task force that'll handle a variety of issues. And when you really look at it, it's a very complex issue of bringing people back. Things like the pre-screening of employees and students coming into a building. Things like the scheduling of them, 6 feet of social distance, and how would you do that on a bus, in a cafeteria? There's many, many challenging dilemmas. But I can promise you this, no plan is going to be adopted without the collaboration of all stakeholders and the board involved. It's going to take a team effort in order to move forward with the opening of schools. So you can look forward to that in the coming weeks. We also have graduation scheduled for the 17th of July.
Hope it doesn't rain.
And of course, we'll have to adhere to the safety protocols that are in place at that time. So all of that is going on right now, as well as virtual summer school. Will be about to start. And one program that'll be face-to-face is VPK. There's going to be 12 children at Fleming Island Elementary. The statute requires face-to-face interaction. And please know that all of the plans, whether it's the plan to bring 11 and 12-month employees back to work, whether it's the plan to open up athletics, band, and those kinds of things, or whether it's the reopening of schools, all of those plans are going to include emergency management and the health department to ensure that the plan has the best practices and the safety of all stakeholders in mind. So I think it'll be a great challenge, but one that we can certainly tackle if we all put our minds to it, okay? So with that, just thank you and stay safe and healthy.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You touched on graduation, and I know we kind of talked about it. What are we looking at for graduation? I've gotten phone calls from parents, and they're very anxious to know, are we,
So-
gonna bring people or what?
Well, one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to adhere to whatever guidelines the president's going to go to 50 here. And I've seen a variety of plans out there. I saw one in which students and two parents, a set of parents behind the student at one high school graduation. I've seen ones where the entire field had social distancing and like the whole thing was covered. I've seen people putting little tape marks on stadiums 6 feet apart. And so the specifics of all of that will be communicated to everybody in enough time, but the longer that we wait, the better our chances of having what people really want to have happen.
Right.
And so it's hard to say right this minute what graduation will look like. We've all committed to the idea that graduation will be in person. And that's what our community wants, and that's what we're going to deliver. But the actual, I ask for people's patience so that we can get them we stand the best chance of getting them what they want
Yeah.
if we wait a little bit longer.
Parents are very anxious. I'm
Yeah.
sure you're all getting phone calls. And so just
Everybody's
keep us
anxious,
all
but
posted.
none of us
Thank
know
you.
the answers. So we're waiting for the direction from Tallahassee. So we just have to, patience is a virtue. That's what my mama used to always say to me. Okay. You through? That's it? Hey, we didn't even get 28 slides or anything. Okay. Then we'll go to the discussion. D1, approve amended resolution for half-cent sales tax to appear on November 2020 general election ballot. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Who was that? Ms. Gilhousen?
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Bola. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just have to say, I still disagree with this whole process, and I talked to Mr. Bickner about it, and I understand Mr. Bickner has explained the statute, that, we have to move forward with it, but I really feel that our resolution should have been grandfathered in, because it was written under the existing language at the time. We took action as a board. It was sent to the county commission. They took action as a board. The only thing that had to be changed was the date to accommodate what they wanted, and we did that. And I just have an issue with that still.
Do you want to address that, Mr. Bittner?
I don't really know what to say. Ms. Karakis and I, excuse me, have discussed it at length. I understand her feeling about it. Because it only applies to elections that occur after July 1, 2020, I don't see a way that we're grandfathered in this to a resolution that we passed back in October. The election will occur after July 1, 2020, and I think that that's kind of the end of that story. As I explained to Ms. Karakis, if you don't approve this and it proceeds on and you keep the original ballot language on the ballot, two things could happen. One, someone could sue to have it stricken from the ballot before it ever occurs, because it doesn't comply with the language of the statute or with the requirements of the statute for distribution of funds. And I think that they would win. Or number two, it could go on, and if it passes in November, the charter schools or someone else could sue and say, you've just passed a statute or a half-cent sales tax that we're not allowed to participate in, and we want to either A, have it declared void and invalid, it's voidable, or we want it to be amended so that we could include our percentage. I think it would not be able to include it or to amend it. I think you'd have to declare it void because the public would not have had notice of what the statute or of what the money was intended for. And it's clear that the statute 212 requires that they have notice of everything that it's intended to be used for. I think to not do this sets it up for a complete failure in either before or after the election. So I don't know how else to explain it.
And that is what you explained to me, and we talked more about it, and I also take exception with the language that was added as we talked. It includes transportation, purchasing of buses, leasing buses, and the white fleet. But that same luxury is not given to the public school system. So if it does pass, and hopefully it does, charter schools can purchase buses or lease buses with sales tax dollars, but public schools cannot. So it's not equitable, and that bothers me too.
Well, it's true to the extent that for the half-cent sales surtax, that is correct. The language is very specific in 212055, subparagraph 6, as to what school districts can use the money for. And that's included in the ballot language. And I put it in there specifically, and it's been in there all along. It says to finance district school construction, reconstruction, renovation, and remodeling of facilities, safety, security, technology upgrades, land acquisition, and improvement. That is what it can be used for the schools. Nowhere in that statute does it say that half-cent sales surtax for district schools can be used for transportation or vehicles. Comparing that to the language that says that charter schools can use it for any allowable use under 1013-62-4, that includes transportation, purchase or lease, purchase of vehicles to transport students to and from the charter school, specifically included, purchase, or lease of driver education vehicles or motor vehicles used for the maintenance or operation of plants and equipment, or security vehicles, or vehicles used in storing and distribution of materials and equipment. So they have a wide latitude for the use of vehicles that the school district does not, from the half-cent sales tax. It's a surtax, but that's where that comes from, and I understand that. The language was specifically for transportation of vehicles was specifically removed from the preamble and from the ballot language. I met with, by phone, I've sent this amended resolution to the county attorney's office and have discussed it with the county attorney and the assistant county attorney, Fran Moss. They did not understand where the transportation vehicle language came from. I pointed it out to Ms. Moss, and she then understood that it was valid and legal. But in order to make it clearer, between the three of us, we juggled some of the language because I wanted to make it as clear as possible, but within the parameters of the number of words. It's strictly constructed. You can only have 15 words in the preamble, and you can only have 75 words in the ballot. And so in order to make it clear, we had to monkey around with the language. And so between Ms. Grimm, Ms. Moss, and myself, we have gone over and vetted and built and rebuilt and monkeyed with the language to get it so that it works. So the things that you're referring to are no longer in the ballot language, but they are in the statute because it does say allowable uses of that statute 1013-62-4. So yes, they can use it for that. No, we can't use it for that. But again, that's completely statutory and at the whim of the legislature, and I can't do anything about that. The statute has to be strictly construed.
It just seems like everybody ought to be treated equally. I don't understand the law there.
I think that all of us understand that charter schools are getting a leg up, and there's nothing that we can really do about that.
Thanks, Mr. Bickner. I appreciate all your advice on this.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say no.
No,
Motion carries. How did you vote, Ms.?
I
Bullock?
voted no.
Did you vote yes or no? Ms. Bullock?
I voted yes.
Okay, so the motion passes 4-1 with Ms. Carrickus dissenting. Okay, there were no, let me vote first. Okay, there was no human resource action item. D3, advertisement and notice of public hearing to the 2020-2021 Student Handbook and Code of Student Conduct. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Carrickus, a second by Ms. Bullock. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0.
I would just like to say, I appreciate that cover page with the
Yeah.
summary of what's been changed.
helpful.
I like that we
That
do
helps
that. Thank
tremendously
you.
because we all just love reading every word on every page. Yeah, I mean, it's good nighttime reading. Okay. Okay. School board attorney remarks. None, okay. School board member remarks. How do we want to start? Ms. Bullock, why don't you start tonight?
I can do that. I, like Mr. Broski, was able to participate in several of the, I don't want to call them drive-bys, that sounds terrible, drive-throughs, graduation ceremonies and high school athletics and all kinds of things. It was very inspiring, and our kids certainly enjoyed it. I also want to give a shout out to our students who, from Keystone, 28 of them will have their AA before they have their high school diploma.
Wow.
28 students. So that is phenomenal.
Keystone does it every year.
And so, actually, there are 31, but 28 of them are Keystone kids. There's one from Hawthorne and a couple other schools, but I'm just very proud of that. It's a great leg up for those students, for their parents as well. So that's all.
I think they were wonderful, those drive-throughs. Let me say something before I continue going down the road, before I forget. As Mr. Broski said, we lost 6 or 7 people to another Southwest Florida. And one of them informed me that this will probably be his last board meeting, that he probably will not be here at our July meeting that'll be held June 25th. So I wanted to give y'all all an opportunity to be able to say something, and I'll come back to you and let you finish up. But if Mr. Jeremy Buckley has the courage to come out here, we would like to choke you and hug you. Come here. We're going to virtually choke you. But he was offered a career move that was just absolutely one that he could not turn down. And I want you to know, and I'm sure the board members will have something to say, but I want you to know that we're going to miss you. And, you know, what can I say? I mean, you brought the IT department up. So somebody's going to have some big shoes to fill there. But I know this is a good opportunity for your spouse and her career, and your son and his genius math ability, and we want to wish you the best. And if you happen to be in town, you can come back on the 25th. We'll let you in, but I didn't want you to get out of town before we had a chance to thank you for all the hard work that you have done in our IT department, Mr. Jeremy Buckley, and I'm going to miss you like crazy. You can stay in touch, too. That would be nice. But anyway, I don't want to embarrass you, but let me go back to Ms. Bullock. We're all going to get a good, okay?
Well, I don't know who's going to hang out with me at the water fountain at Keystone Heights High School demonstrating the hot spots, but if you would just pass that on to the new person, that'd be great. But I too appreciate all you've done and the understanding you've had of some of the rural areas that have a hard time getting that service, and you've certainly have worked very hard to make that happen, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Bickner.
Since you're going there,
Yes,
I do have a comment if I may make.
I'll come, can you wait till after the board?
Absolutely.
Okay, I will not forget you. Okay. I'm done. Okay, Ms. Caracas.
I'll just congratulate Mr. Bunkley on his career move. We are going to miss you. We appreciate everything you've done, especially helping me with my issues with my computer at the house. So thank you very much, and we wish you and your family all the best.
Ms. Gilhousen.
Well, Jeremy, you have done an amazing job of bringing us into the 21st century.
Yes.
Everything from infrastructure to the most minute details of making board members more comfortable with the platforms we're using. And I just really appreciate and value the work that you've done here, but more than that, I value the person that you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'll miss most of all. You've been fair-minded and incredibly professional to work with, and I've appreciated the opportunity to know you.
I'd like to add something.
Okay.
What's going to happen to the cargo container and the big pod? Somebody's going to finish that job, right? That is an amazing task that you took on. Incredible. So kudos to you.
Okay, Ms. Bola.
I just have to say ditto to what everyone else said, particularly when Ms. Gilhousen said, thank you for bringing us into the 21st century. I think when you first began, we were in the 19th. So you brought us up 2 centuries. Not only your work with us as individuals, but your work with the county and the collaboration that you've shown us that can be, and everything that can be accomplished when we all work together. I have so valued not only your work ethic, but your friendship, and thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bickner.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Since we're bringing up the subject of Mr. Bunkley, I do have a couple of things that I want to express
Now
my
the truth
appreciation
comes out.
for.
Okay.
I have discussed his employment with Mr. Davis at length. And one of the things that I know about Jeremy is that his favorite job in the district is that of public records officer. And so, as part of his employment duties with Hillsborough County, he will retain the function of public records officer for Clay County. And I know that that will make his day. And it will help me immensely. So I'm glad that he's going to do that.
Who will be doing the public records when you leave, really? The new person? The new you? Okay. And I'm assured that you will inform him of your frequent flyers.
Other than that, the only thing that I have to say is that he and I have worked well together, and I will miss him immensely.
I just wish there wasn't a pandemic, because we'd all give you a group hug. No, Mr. Bickner won't. But what can we say? We're going to miss you like crazy. You've done a superb job. I hate to say goodbye. Thank you, Jeremy. Let's give him a hand, folks. Okay. Is there anything else
I'd like to finish board member comments, if that's okay.
Oh,
Yeah, we stopped at Ms.
well,
Bullock
we
and
were
we
doing
got
the Jeremy
sidetracked.
thing. Okay.
I'd like to just say, we all know it's been an unusual year, an unusual end to a very good school year. And it's been difficult for students and parents and our teachers and our staff. But I just want to give a shout out to all our teachers, our staff, our administrators, even our support people. Everybody's worked so hard to make this as smooth a transition as possible. Keeping things clean while students are out, the maintenance guys doing everything that they possibly can, the teachers having to learn how to do this distance learning which for some came very easily, but for others, it was a great challenge. And they have certainly risen to the occasion, and I just want to say thank you to them and to the parents who were home working and also trying to help their children. That was probably the greatest challenge of all, including some of which were our teachers, you know, educating other people's while trying to maintain their own, children's education too. So I know it's been very, very difficult for lots of them, and I've heard such great things, great praise for our teachers. Some parents just, they could not say enough great stuff. There's a few who struggled, but not because of the teacher, because of, 24/7 with their kids. But I just want to say I'm so proud of Clay County. Clay County is just, you guys have all done a wonderful job, and I'm so honored to be a part of this district. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Gilhousen?
Well, I think we'd be remiss in not acknowledging just the heartbreak that we've endured this year as a school district, as a nation. We've had to overcome a lot, and we have a long way to go. And, we had the opportunity, each of us as board members, to read a book on Mr. Broski's Book Nook right before this meeting. And the story that I shared was about a little boy in Holland, and the story is called The Brave Hero of Holland. And this little boy, 8 years old, saw a leak in the dam where the ocean was going to flood in and drown his nation. And he stuck his finger in the hole and held it there all night until help could come the next day. And I think that's such a poignant picture of what we have an opportunity to instill in children in this district, that it takes one person to do the right thing. And I think that another thing that I've taken away from this time is, so much that's happened in recent events has pulled us apart, whether it was for sickness or whether it's, political divisions and heartbreak has caused us to separate from each other. And I think that more than any other time in my life, I see how much better we are when we're together. Whether it's in school, whether it's as a country, as a community, we're better together. And so I hope that going into next school year, we'll take the lessons that we've learned from this one. And I think that the most important thing we can do through hard times is learn the lessons that we have to learn while we're in them and be better for them going forward. So I appreciate all the hard work of our staff, our parents, our children. This has been a hard year for everyone, and I'm looking forward to bigger and better things.
Okay. Ms. Bella?
How do you follow both of you, all three of you, with
Just say, did
repeating everything that's been said? But truly, thank you. Thank you to the students, the teachers, the administrators. Mr. Broski, you stepped in and sort of you were blindsided by a lot of what was going on this year. It's been an interesting year, yeah. But thank you for all that you've done. Thank you to everybody, this entire team. When people say Clay County is family, we mean it. We are truly family, and we work together. And there are times in a family when people don't necessarily get along, but we're family. And we all work together, and we're colleagues, and we see that light at the end. And ideally, what we will do, as many families do, we'll learn from our children and the love that our children have for each other. And just seeing and hearing about, from teacher friends, my own daughter, my own grandchildren, and the opportunity just to glimpse their friends in that Zoom meeting, or the opportunity to see friends as they were driving by. At Oakleaf High School, they had a big loop set up just like most of the other high schools did. And it was interesting to see, yes, the students were very excited to see the teachers and everyone that were standing there. But as soon as they started that loop, they started to see their other friends in the other cars. And all of the shouting and the yelling and the waving and the virtual hugging and everything else that was going on was just It was truly a moving experience. And so thank you. I have to do a shout out for Ridgeview High School's chorus. If you've not had the opportunity to go online and listen to the song that the students, that literally the students wrote, they did the lyrics. Miss Bice and her husband, I believe, did the music behind it. They did all of the singing individually, not just the students, but faculty and staff were involved as well. And it is an incredibly, incredibly moving rendition of a song that hopefully will be used over and over in the future. But I encourage you to go online and see that. And just, if you have Facebook, go on Ridgeview High School's chorus page. It is awesome. And with that, I just want to say thank you to all of you. Have a good summer. Take the time to relax with each other. Not do any virtual learning if you don't have to. I know a lot of folks are tired of that. I know a lot of teachers learned a lot about themselves and were strengthened by it as well. So kudos to all of you and thank you for all that you do.
Okay. I wish I could take everything that everybody said and just kind of put it in a package, put a bow on the top. Clay County Schools has risen above and beyond what any of us could have expected during the pandemic. I mean, our support staff, our teachers, our principals, our administrators, Superintendent Broski, I mean, look what you were faced with immediately. This has been a time like none of us have ever been through before, but we did it, and we did it well. I think as well as any district in this state did, and I too am very, very proud of everyone. I feel especially bad for the seniors this year. The drive-through, or not drive-by, the drive-through graduations was wonderful. It made me feel good to see the kids, and they were happy and high-fiving. I mean, I thought, we gave them something, and hopefully it'll be, better by July 17th, and they can have, quote, their real graduation, even though it's delayed. This will be a year that they'll never forget in their entire life. I mean, it's been crazy. I don't know how else to say it, just plain crazy. There was something on social media last night that touched me so much, and with all that's going on right now with the rioting and the horrible things that have been happening throughout our country, spare me, for y'all who didn't see this. Chief Wagner, I want to thank you for this. Meet Officer Ruiz and Bryce. This is a story of a special sixth grade year and the time Bryce gained his new buddy. He wanted to thank Officer, is it pronounced Ruiz? Okay. Officer Ruiz for making his sixth school year so special. Bryce says he looked forward to seeing Officer Ruiz every day, and with distance learning becoming a barrier, he wanted to make sure he said goodbye on the last day of the school year. Bryce will be moving to junior high school, where he will join the wrestling team, and Officer Ruiz pledged to go and watch him wrestle. Officer Ruiz, we salute you for building relationships with our students, being the role model Bryce looked to see each day, and Bryce says he will miss you. Bryce, we salute you for your promotion to junior high school and excelling in your academics and wrestling. And then there is the picture of Officer Ruiz, who is a black man, and Bryce, who is a little white boy. This is what it's all about. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
Wait, Mrs. Studdard, we
What?
would be remiss if we didn't recognize Mr. Broski. Had a very special thing happen this weekend. We just want to
Yes.
congratulate you on your wedding. I'm sorry I didn't think of it sooner. Congratulations, Mr. Broski and Sue got married Saturday or Sunday? Sunday. So we wish you all the best. Congratulations.
Okay.
And honeymooned at the district office. Very lovely.
And with that, the meeting is adjourned.